Good morning, Stokastic baseball fans. How you guys doing out there? Terry McBride here. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show for October 20th, Thursday. One-game slate, ALCS Game 2. Yankees down 1 in Houston. Just got a little pop-up message there in the middle of my intro. How about that? That's fun. As I was saying, the Yankees are down in Houston. It's Game 2 of the ALCS. Little one-game action for DFS slate for baseball. Not necessarily the best of circumstances, but it's what we've got on the table. So we're going to talk through the one game. We'll go through the various picks, and we'll talk statistics for the different hitters, the two pitchers that are on the mound. We'll talk about some basic strategy, and then I thought maybe we'd take a look at some lineup builds. I put together a little lineup builder for the showdown slate for the single game slate on both sites. So we'll take a look through those things. We are brought to you today internally once again by the promo code Hardwood. That's all one word, HARDWOOD, all in caps. That's going to get you 10 days of Stokastic Plus Platinum for only $10. We'll talk about that a little bit more after the break. Like we're getting a big commercial that's going to be coming through here in the middle of the show. After we skip from pitchers to hitters, we'll talk about it in between. Let's take a look. We'll jump over to my model here. We'll take a look. Oh, there's a little behind the scenes preview. I didn't mean to have that on the screen. I wanted to have this here, but you guys, we jumped ahead a little bit there. But this is the model as always. Layout, we've got the projections are mine, but we've got the ownership from the site. All the ownership that's populated in here is the is the overall ownership. We've got a util specific ownership. We've got a captain ownership for DK. So they're separated by role, but we've also got just an overall usage, overall ownership number. And that's what I loaded into the model here just for talking purposes. As always, the differences between the two sites. DK, you have the salary multiplier in the captain spot, but you also have access to the starting pitchers. FanDuel, you have 2 multiplier spots for points, the MVP spot that multiplies by 2, the star spot that multiplies by 1.5. Neither of those multiplies the salary, and you have no pitchers. So very different games from site to site. We will talk our way through it. I do have the pitching loaded up here. We've got Luis Severino going for the Yanks. Need him to come through in a big way for my team to have any chance in this series, I think, at this point. And we've got Framber Valdez, excellent starter going for the Astros. Could give the Yankees fits. Framber Valdez is a really unique kind of a pitcher in that he is just a ground ball dominant force. You can see down here, his average launch angle allowed this season, negative 3.6. Last year, it was negative 5.5. All he does is induce ground balls and keep the ball in the yard. A 1.33% home run rate this year, a 2.1% last year. You can see he allows some hard hit rate, right? He allows some premium contact. He doesn't walk a ton of hitters. He walks 8.1 this year. 10.1 last year was a bit more of a walk problem. This year, he's cut it down a little bit. That's still a little bit above where you'd want it, but it's not as egregious when he can get himself out of trouble via the ground ball so frequently. He bumped his strikeouts up a little bit, which is nice to see. Framber has always been one of these guys that's been a better real-life pitcher because of that ground ball ability than he's been a DFS pitcher. But if he's finding strikeouts in that 23% range, he's been a lot more viable over 201 1/3 this year, 201 1/3 innings this year. And compared to last year, 21.9%, that was more league average, just a little bit below. So you like to see that bump. He is a very, very good pitcher. In going to him, in going to either one of the pitchers, you're going to see a massive ownership share for both of these guys in both the captain roles and the utility roles. Excuse my sniffles. I woke up this morning with some allergies. So you're going to see a tremendous amount of ownership for both of these guys in both of these roles. And they make a lot of sense. We'll look at that when we build some lineups. But going away from them in the captain role specifically is going to open up a world of unique lineups for you. So it's always in consideration. But the points projections are obviously in favor of the two pitchers. On the other side of this game, Luis Severino, the visiting pitcher, 27.7% strikeout rate, very strong performance over 102 innings, dealt with injury, deals with some, overall innings limitations, but he's very, very good when he's in the game. A 3.38 xFIP this year, 12.3% swinging strike rate. There's nothing really not to like about Luis Severino. He can give up a little bit of power from time to time, 3.46% home run rate, a 41.3% hard hit, and he's just going up against this excellent Astros lineup with some just absolute thumpers in it. Hopefully you guys got to the calls from the bottom of the lineup yesterday with Yuli Guriel and Chas McCormick both going deep. We talked about those guys on the show. So hopefully people people got to those guys. But, today, I think if anybody's getting the Louis, it's probably going to be one of the premium bats from up top of the lineup, the Jordan Alvarez, the Kyle Tuckers, the big lefties. Somebody could get to him, go deep here, but he has a good chance to rack up some strikeouts, even against a very premium lineup that does not strike out all that often. He's just that talented at 12.3% swinging strike rate. Very nice. 28.1% CSW, a little bit of issues, keeping himself around the plate for called strikes, but the swinging strikes are very, very strong for Severino. So I have no issues going with either of the pitchers. That said, they're going up against very, very good lineups. We've got the projected lineups loaded up here, and we'll talk about the bats in just a half a second. But first, let's talk about that promo code Hardwood. And that, like I said, is for 10 days of Stokastic Plus Platinum for only $10. And what that's going to get you, Stokastic Plus Platinum is the one that includes just every single thing that we cover. And we cover everything for DFS. If they have a DFS contest out there, I don't care if it's for highlight, I don't care if it's for KBO, back when we were covering that during the pandemic when we had contests for it, we will jump on things all around the world at any time of day if they have contests for it on these major sites. So don't sweat that. You can get access to our platinum plan that covers the rest of the MLB season, covers NFL, NBA just started up, NHL's going hot and heavy, NASCAR, golf, tennis, every single thing you can imagine. Access to all the tools, all the projections, all the ownership, every single piece of content that we've got. No Fantasy Cruncher included in that. That's always a paid add-on because we don't own Fantasy Cruncher, but it's an excellent app. You should add it onto your plans. Again, promo code Hardwood, HARDWOOD, all caps, all one word, $10 for 10 days of access to Stokastic Plus Platinum. Can't beat that, guys. Taking a look back over here, let's look at the Yankees lineup. Yanks, not a great outing yesterday. Hopefully a little bit better today, but we've got Aaron Judge. We've got all the power in a Judge and a Stanton as usual that are definitely going to be in this lineup. Glaber probably going to be in the leadoff spot again. We talked about DJ LeMahieu potentially being on the roster yesterday, and he did not make the roster. Some interesting decisions going into the Yankees roster. Oswald Peraza did make the roster. We talked about him. We talked about their need for him to be potentially at shortstop instead of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. They added him to the roster, and then Aaron Boone, for whatever reason, I won't quibble with it, but decided to start Kiner-Falefa anyway. So that could change. We might see Peraza in the lineup today. Just probably would drop into this place where Kiner-Falefa is. That would allow them to keep back Oswaldo Cabrera out in left field. They also do have Matt Carpenter on the in the lineup. We saw him DH yesterday with Stanton playing in the outfield. So there's various ways that that the lineup could go, but nobody wants to see Giancarlo Stanton in left field. That's just a strange exercise. So we'll see how it comes out. But obvious power in Stanton, in Aaron Judge. Anthony Rizzo from the left side of the plate has plenty of power. Lefty. I don't really worry about Rizzo that much, but you just worry about everybody and their ability to get the ball in the air to hit a home run against this pitcher. He's just that good at keeping the ball in the yard. So we get a little concerned about that. Bottom of the lineup thins out around kind of Falefa. He's there. Trevino is not the greatest hitting catcher in the world. Had an okay season with 11 home runs this year. Harrison Bader has been a house of fire all through the playoffs, so he's been fun to watch. Power and speed potential, definitely a guy you can work in the lineups. But all these guys are popular. They're drawing appropriate ownership. Cabrera, kind of interesting at the 17%. And then if we're talking just overall ownership for a big bat, Giancarlo Stanton at 12% ownership on DK. He's 28% across town on FanDuel. The 12% on DK I get because he's expensive, but it's 31 home runs. It's 251 ISO, 15% better than average creating runs. That's a player we want to get to a little bit more frequently than that if the public's leaving him on the table. So he's an interesting bat. Should not be recording while I'm all stuffed up like this. But anywho, I think this is the best we're going to get for today. And I've got another show later on, so that'll be fun. The Houston Astros on the other side. Jose Altuve, the leadoff man extraordinaire, obviously an excellent hitter, 300, 387, 533 this year with a 233 ISO. Just a unique combination of power, speed, skill set from this guy. And he's done it for so long that, I think we take him for granted a little bit. He's a 14.4% strikeout rate, just constantly on base, putting the ball in play, the kind of guy you want in your lineup. Jordan Alvarez, obviously ton of power. Jeremy Pena, Kyle Tucker, I mentioned earlier, as a potential lefty bat with a ton of power. These guys at the top, costly, but not drawing a tremendous amount of ownership by comparison to some of the bats from the bottom of the lineup in the overall sense. These guys are picking up a ton of util ownership. These guys are landing more in the captain role in DK, obviously. On FanDuel, similar story. A lot of these guys landing in util spots, but you see, because there's no salary multiplier, these guys, the stars, pick up a lot more ownership on FanDuel because you don't have to worry about it in the MVP spots. So with that lineup, you get to the bottom of the lineup. They really play 1 through 9. As much as you don't love Martin Maldonado, he does have a power pack bat from time to time, so we can get to him. We talked about him a decent amount. Trey Mancini is a guy we'd never want to leave out for that price for his bat. What we've seen from him in the past, certainly another guy that can go yards. Particularly FanDuel 5,500. That's a cheap price. These are, I think, the captain. I think this is pulling the captain price here. So cheap price for Trey Mancini as well. So let's jump over. I built these. We'll take a quick look at some lineups. I'm obviously struggling a little bit here, so we might not talk for quite as long as I had initially thought about these, but I did want to show it. I put it together a little matrix here of the various ownership in each role. Captain and util is the DK side over here, FanDuel side over here. I added my home run model. These projections are the site's projections, so we're actually showing pretty much everything for free right now. But let's build a quick DraftKings lineup, and we'll see how that looks, and then maybe we'll get out of here. My dog's over here barking too. This is an interesting one, guys. So just taking a look at DraftKings ownership, like I said, the pitchers are picking up a massive amount of ownership in the captain role, 54% total ownership between the two pitchers. So if you make basically any other decision in the captain spot, you're A, saving some salary, and you're B, going to be very unique right out of the gate. So I'm going to do that just for the sake of building like a large field tournament lineup here, because I think that's more interesting than building cash. I'm going to take Aaron Judge and just drop him in here. He's the next most owned captain and kind of an obvious guy to go to, but at just 2.6%. Yeah, actually, he's not even the next most owned captain. That's Jeremy Pena at 3, Harrison Bader 3.2, Gleyber Torres. So there's salary considerations there, obviously. So we drop Judge in there. It eats up a 15K chunk of our salary. That leaves us with $7,000 still to spend at each of the util spots. I think that's okay. This is our data over here, by the way. We've got the remaining salary, the average salary, just like the lineup builder that you see on the side. I threw this together this morning. You guys can build this on your own. It's just basically a series of lookups. It's not that difficult to put together. Down here, we'll have the uniqueness of the lineup, the projection, home run total, remaining salary. So let's grab some other guys for this lineup. Let's see how we do. We put Judge in there at a pretty aggressive price. We'll want to try and maybe correlate some of these guys. Let's see if we can grab Gleyber for a little bit above our remaining average, because we do have some of those cheap Astros bats down there. Gleyber's a little bit popular in the util role, but that's going to put us at a 68.5. And then maybe we could do, if we want to look down toward the bottom of the lineup, whoops, didn't mean to paste that. We can maybe grab a also popular beta. Let's grab Oswaldo. Don't have to worry about straight correlation all that much. 6,600. We can just grab that bat at price, grab a third Yankees bat, put him in there. We're doing okay. And then we can look at some of these guys down here. So Yuli Guriel, like I was saying, super popular, 36% popular in the util spot. But we can look down to Chas McCormick, maybe some Martin Maldonado, grab one of those guys. Jeremy Pena up at the top, 19% popular. That's not aggressively bad, so maybe we'd grab him for around our average remaining salary. Pop him in there. We've got a key hitter from the top of the lineup who correlates with all the power bats. So even if Jordan Alvarez pops and we don't have him, maybe Jeremy Pena is on base. We grab a little bit of a potential Alvarez home run. That leaves us two spots, 6,800 a piece. So we could go cheap and popular. We could grab Guriel. We could go with another Yankee and try and correlate another. We could go like a 2-2 kind of a look from the Yankees from the bottom of the lineup. Maybe we do that. Maybe we grab Bader despite some popularity there. Pop him in there. And then let's say that leaves us 76. Didn't really do us any favors there. We could go with JD. Whoops. We could go with JD and go just Yankees overload here. If you wanted to do that, you could go Yankees onslaught. Right, that's kind of interesting looking. Projects out okay, decent home run upside with the 18, and is a 1 in 88,000 lineup as far as uniqueness. So, I mean, that's fairly unique when we're thinking about a showdown format where we really want to focus on having unique lineups in these things. So I think that's at least somewhat interesting. We can look at what happens to the ownership if we go with some different decisions. Let's go with some of the popular Astros from the bottom of the lineup here real quick. We'll take a look at that. Of course, as soon as I got into this, I'm going to continue talking through it. So we would shortchange it. We'll probably end up going longer than I was originally planning to. But let's see. If you throw in Yuli Guriel, who super super popular because he's very cheap, 4,600. So that gives us $9,000 to spend at that other roster spot here, but it's at the expense of a lot of ownership. So we'll see this one will come in a lot less unique, but we might pick up a big bat. 92 doesn't quite get us to Giancarlo. It can give us Kyle Tucker though. That's kind of interesting, right? And only 18%. So we'll see what that does. Kyle Tucker. So that drops us from 88,000 to a 1 in 73,000. That's still relatively unique. We pick up a little bit of home run upside. We pick up a little bit of projection upside. So I think this is certainly a potentially interesting lineup. Let's say we wanted to go with one of the pitchers here. We're up Framber. We'll say that let's say we're going with the idea that Framber shuts the Yankees down. Now we're spending too much, obviously, over here. So we'll pull Tucker back out of that. And we'll leave only Oswaldo in there from the Yankee side because we do need one Yankee. So let's focus on some other Astros bats. We've got 75.5 that we can spend. So let's say we want to get we've got Pena in there. Let's say we want to get let's get cute. We're gonna try and grab Jordan. We'll see what that'll do. We drop him in. We got 5,300 left. We could easily go. We could just pop Trey Mancini in there. Damn it. I'm so bad at hitting that wrong key. Up Trey Mancini in that one. So we can see this one has a somewhat higher home run total, slightly higher than what we were looking at before. Not that crazy in terms of the difference in projection where we were at from one lineup to the next. And look how much less unique this lineup is. 1 in 3,000, 1 in 3,900, so 1 in 4,000 roughly. So it's just interesting, the different decisions that you can make. Once you put a different player here, you are immediately way more unique than the field. And in a showdown format, we're going to want that. And it's not wildly outside of the realm of possibility. The two pitchers are the most likely to put up the big scores. They get the most opportunity. But it's not totally outside the realm of possibility. Yanks string together a few hits. Astros go to the pen early. And Framber's out of there. He doesn't deliver for the captain role. By the same token, if you're putting a Aaron Judge in that spot instead of a Framber, you get that home run. Now you're kind of doubling that upside, right? Because you're getting the Judge home run in your captain spot, and you're chasing Framber early. You're chasing that 30% of the field that had Framber Valdez in there. So I think it just makes a ton of sense. All of those concepts apply for FanDuel. I'm really struggling here. We'll take a quick look at a FanDuel lineup here. Similar story, but no captain multiplier. So we see the ownership in the MVP spot, the star spot, and the util spot here. We will not go with Aaron Judge, who's the most popular, 17.4% on the Yankees side, 18.8% for Jordan Alvarez over here. But what if we went with, let's go with Giancarlo Stanton, only 7,500 on FanDuel. Let's drop Giancarlo. Where am I here? Drop Giancarlo into the MVP spot with some home run upside. Right here, 633. He was the third highest home run hitter. Let's do that. Let's grab some Rizzo. A little reverse. Actually, should we go the other way around then so that we get the more? Yeah, we want to do that. Rizzo, he drives in Rizzo. We get the star points. So a little correlation there with those two guys, a little home run upside individually, and get our chunk of the Yankees for not the worst pricing in the world right here. And not terrible ownership in the MVP spot, the star spot. Taking a look at the three util spots now, 6,500 apiece. We could drop down to the bottom of the Astros lineup easily enough. Middle of the Astros lineup, really. Kyle Tucker, only 7,500. That's easy enough to get to. We could grab some more Yankees for cost. They're all very cheap and easy to get to. Might make sense to grab Glaber if we're leaning into a Yankees stack here on this one. I'll do that. Leaves us 62.5 in the util roll. These guys are 21, 20s. Can I Tucker in here? What does that leave me? Yeah, I can. All right. So low owned Kyle Tucker, 16% in the util spot. That leaves me $5,000 to spend. So I can still get Yuli Guriel and correlate those two guys, which is kind of interesting. Both of those guys, relatively low owned. I could go to another Yankees bat. Not that I want IKF, but I don't know what Peraza's price is off the top of my head, but he's probably around there. So maybe if he was around that price, you could drop him in there. But for this purpose, I'm going to just drop Yuli Guriel in there. That's not bad. Oh, no. I was looking at the DK price. I'm dumb. Forget that. I was looking at DK. I'll drop Chas McCormick in there instead. That gives me a 1 in 4,100, 41,000 lineup. That's fine. That's because we're playing some low-owned captain, low-owned star here, and we have no pitching to worry about on the FanDuel slate, so we're just rostering hitting. I kind of like this. It's stringing together some guys from the top of the Yankees lineup. I think it makes sense with the correlation, the way that it's put together, because if Rizzo and Torres are on in front of Stanton and he hits the ball out, I want him in my MVP spot. He's the least owned out of those three in those roles, so I want him in that MVP spot so that I'm picking up the correlation points and he's getting with the home run, the RBIs, and all of that, the most in the multiplier spot there. Spends all the salary, a lot easy way to get different on FanDuel is to leave some salary on the table, but we're somewhat unique here. That's actually unique enough, I think, for a tournament entry. So that one would be fine. I'd probably drop that into a large field tournament today. Decent little home run rating, decent little projection on it. So not too bad. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Hopefully you get something out of that. I am going to go, I don't know, bury my head in some hot water or something like that and hope that it cures my allergies. With that, guys, we've been Stokastic MLB strategy show. Remember, promo code Hardwood. Joker's back over here to say goodbye to everybody. Good boy. Remember, promo code Hardwood gets you $10, 10 days, $10 access to Stokastic Plus Platinum. Check that out over at Stokastic. Gets you access to every single thing that we have for DFS purposes, gang. So with that, good luck tonight. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Oh, hit the like and the subscribe button. I keep forgetting to say that. Take care.